Hi, I'm JKB, and today I'm going to be reviewing the MGM Amazon Studios. That's weird saying that. They own James Bond. That's just weird. We're going to be talking about the Fallout series. Well, I reckon I have to sleep with 6 ghouls. I would. Let me point out that there'll be no spoilers in this review in terms of key plot points, so don't worry about that. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'd rather you guys go out there and watch this show, and I'm going to say it now, I think it's the best adaptation of any video game we've ever seen. Let me start by saying that I love the Fallout series. I've reviewed Fallout 4 on the show in the past, and, you know, notoriously, it had a lot of bugs in it. It had a death loop load-in error where I fell from the sky every time it loaded in. Gotta love Bethesda. And I'm pretty excited for the Fallout 4 Next Gen update that's coming out on the 25th of April. And no, this isn't me just saying like, hey, Bethesda, go play a game again. The reason I'm telling you this and why I'm excited about the update is because the show is so good, I had to go back and download Part 3, New Vegas, and Part 4. And then all of a sudden I look online and they're like, oh yeah, the Next Gen update. It's coming out on April 25th. I'm like, oh my, this is perfect timing. I love this series. I love the video games. Let's talk about the show. So let me start by talking about the teasers that came out a couple of weeks ago. There was a lot of people saying like, the show looks woke and all of this nonsense about the armor and how it wouldn't do this and it wouldn't move this way. I'm not even on the same planet as people like that. I don't look at these shows and feel offended because there's a black guy in the show, or I go, oh my God, it's a female lead. Help me, oh no. I'm definitely not one of those people. I look at this as a story. Let's just look at the story. Now, I'll admit, yeah, I feel like some of the Walt Disney stuff over the last couple of years has on purposely put in people so they could fit a demographic. So when it comes to the Fallout show, after watching it, I can seriously say that I feel like this is some of the best writing I've seen from any team of people in the industry based on a video game series. It is incredible. We have story arcs that actually work. We have characters that intersect with each other over the series' 8 episodes. We have characters that you think you start to learn. You go, oh my God, I'm starting to understand him. He's about to do something nice. He's going to take care of this person, or he's going to do this. And then the show throws that on its head. So it's not like it's trying to lead you down a path to believe one thing and then switch it up. It's just really good writing. Now, in terms of the characters, we have 3 main characters that the story follows with a bunch of side characters. But the most important one would be Lucy, who is the female that is trapped in the vault, who emerges from the vault at the beginning of the show. Then we have the Ghoul, who is the best character in the show in my opinion. And then we have Maximus, who is just a weird character. You think you're going to pinpoint where he's going to go in the story, or you start to understand, is he about to step up and become this person, this hero? But then it doesn't happen the way you think it should. And it's just really good writing. And you know, you look at him and you're like, okay, he's about to become this like super manly man. He's going to step up and get into the armor and do things with it. But it just doesn't turn out that way. Or maybe it does. I'm not going to give it away. It's just a surprise where these character arcs go. I would say Lucy's is the simple arc. You know, it's like somebody was in the vault. Somebody comes out of the vault. They discover that there is a wasteland, which they knew about before they escaped the vault. But they knew about the wasteland. But her arc is, you know, basically paint by numbers. She's going to do this and get to this point by the end. There's some twists that I'm not saying are terrible. I'm just saying that the Ghoul's storyline in this show is unbelievable. And it does reveal some backstory to the Fallout lore. So in terms of the characters, I would say that Maximus and the Ghoul are really up there. I love Lucy. I mean, she's a very adorable character. It kind of makes me feel like she put all of her points into charisma when she started the Fallout game. It feels like this is also Fallout 5 in a TV form. And it's something that I think Bethesda on purposely said to them, like, hey, don't put this into the story because we're going to put it into the next Fallout game. Now, in terms of the acting, the Ghoul, Holy moly, we're talking about an homage to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Just think Clint? Think about Clint Eastwood in the Man with No Name trilogy if you're into the films, like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Just take that character and make him a ghoul. He can't die, just like in the video games, but I don't want to give away any real essence story plot points or even any of the moments that are even like an homage. There's an amazing homage to The Good and the Bad and the Ugly in this show that I picked up on right away if you're a fan of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So it's so cool to say these people who made the show looked at past properties and past, classic films in the genre, and they really borrowed from that, which is something that all filmmakers do. So to see the influence of these Westerns and to see the ghoul play it out like that, but also put it on its head. I'm not going to say he's just like this stand-up ghoul who's going to do good in the world. He definitely isn't that, but he does remind me of Clint Eastwood from the Man with No Name trilogy. Now let me just talk about Maximus for a quick second. This is a young boy who was thrown into this world, and he was born in the wasteland. He's seeing things that Lucy hasn't seen. Remember, Lucy, of course, was in the vault, which I'll talk about last here in a second. But in terms of Maximus, he's got a very clear story. At least you think he does from the offset. You think that he's this young boy who wants to join the Brotherhood and get into the armor. Essentially, that's his main plot point in this story. He wants to do good because he was saved by the Brotherhood. So in saying that, how does his story arc play out? It plays out in such gruesome ways. I would say the most gore almost comes from the Ghoul and Maximus storylines. We see crazy things in the show that I'd love to talk about because obviously I'm a horror movie fan. I want to give you one. The power armor is extremely powerful in the show. So you can imagine what it can do to people in the show, and they don't hold back in terms of the gore, and that's one of the biggest selling points for me. It does not hold back on the gore, the sex, anything to do with a mature level that an audience from the video games might have missed or glossed over. If you look at the video games, they're pretty gruesome. Some terrible things happen, and bullets are going through people's heads in slow motion, and the VAT system is allowing you to shoot them directly in the head, heads exploding, arms flying off. The show does not hold back. So let me just say that this show is so gory, and as a horror movie fan, I'm in love with it. So in terms of Maximus, I love his storyline. So let me just talk about Lucy at the end here. Lucy is a character, like I said, is very paint by numbers. She has a few little quirks here and there that as the series goes on, you're like, wow, I didn't believe she would do that. But she's like sort of the heart of this story, and you really want to connect with her the most, of course. But you also, again, I just want to say this, you want to connect with the ghoul. You want him to be good. You keep saying, help her, do something in this situation. And then he does something, and it's completely not what you expected. So overall, I can't really spoil anything in this review. I am so happy with what MGM Amazon has done with this series. The second it was over and that last scene, I thought, oh my God, I cannot wait for the sequel. Let me point this out. Do the people that are making this game understand the video game? Absolutely. They clearly went to the video games and said, what's so important to these video games? Why do players like these video games? And I can honestly say, as you're looking at these characters, it's like you're playing the video game at times. When you're walking around with the ghoul on screen, he's doing essentially exactly what happens in the video game in terms of the VAT system. So as you know in, say, Fallout 4, the VAT system goes into slow motion, and you have a certain percentage to take someone's head off, or their arm, or their legs, or their torso. You can aim, and it's all in slow motion. Well, guess what? The show has a few callbacks to the video game that's done so well. I'm so happy with it. And if you're a fan of the video game, you see those things in the show, and you go, oh, that system, amazing. You see dog meat, you see the two-headed cattle that's walking around. There's tons, and I mean tons of callbacks to the video games, obviously. And in saying that, there's some characters from a few of the past games as well you want to really be looking out for. So overall, it's tough for me to review this without giving any spoilers. I wish I had time to talk to you with like a spoiler-free section here, but unfortunately, I want to save that for you guys, and we'll talk about it on my stream later this week. I stream every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on the show, and also during the week from my phone. Sometimes I put on a Winnie the Pooh suit and go hiking in the woods and scare people and tell them I'm missing my honey. I did that yesterday and I scared a small Indian family. Overall, I give the Fallout series a 9.5 out of 10. It's so close to perfect. I can't think of anything that I really disliked about the series except this one little thing, which I'm not going to spoil here, and that's why it's not perfect. There was this moment that they set up in the series that I thought, what, they're doing that? That's amazing. They're not going to go down that path. And then they flip it on its head and they do go down this path with, I'll just say, with Lucy and Maximus. So I'm like, okay, we went down that path. I get it. You need that in the show. You need that type of story in the show. I understand that, but that disappointed me a little bit. However, 9.5 out of 10, it's a must watch. The music in the show alone. And another thing I want to mention is the title sequences are always different, and they're always playing upon all of the old games. You know, sometimes it'll look like Fallout 4, it'll look like Fallout 3 New Vegas, or it'll look like Fallout 2 in terms of the actual logo that they show at the beginning of the episode. That's just a fine little detail that, you know, as a fan of the games, I appreciate that stuff. So, 9.5, highly recommend it. Can't wait for season 2. I hope it doesn't take 3 years to get this out, and I hope we get 5 seasons minimum. The show's incredible. Amazing gore, amazing music, amazing characters, amazing acting. I forgot to mention this. The set pieces, the effects. There was only one time there was an effect with one of the Brotherhood armors in the sky, and I was like, ugh, that looks terrible. Other than that, the series is 9.5. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next episode of JKB, and thank you for subscribing and liking my channel. I appreciate you guys.